This is the 13th Street Community Garden in Old North St. Louis, and our main goal is to build community and provide healthy and fresh produce to our neighbors. We are growing everything in this garden. We have melons and beets and turnips and carrots and corn and peppers and tomatoes and herbs. Anything you can think of, we grow.
The first thing I did was talk to people in the neighborhood that were already gardening. So I just contacted them and said, okay, help me out. What do we do? When do we plant things? When do we harvest things? What's a good schedule for getting things planted? What do you recommend planting in this area? What do you not recommend? So that was really the basics, was just getting advice from people who were already doing that here, and then, beginning to figure out what we could do. So we put in probably half a dozen raised beds. We put in the chicken coop, we put in the greenhouse and the shed, and we planted all of the orchard that's behind us here. That's a little bit of an orchard. So we did most of that through grants and private donations. So just going to places and saying, do you have plants you can give us? How do you want to participate? And then again, applying for a lot of different, mostly small grants. So like the shed was a grant from Gateway Greening.
Gateway Greening is an urban ag nonprofit that's been around for 35 years. We provide tools, infrastructure, we provide consulting. We have a host of educational opportunities. Our YouTube channel has all types of videos on a wide range of organic gardening topics. The reality is that there is a lot of momentum and excitement around local growers and creating local food systems. I think that there are a lot more grants and opportunities popping up for people who are interested in community gardens.
Yeah, there's lots of things to expect in a garden. In this garden, we have to weed a lot because it's pretty big. It's 6 city lots. We also have to control the paths that are around all of the beds where we plant. So that requires mowing. You have to water regularly if it doesn't rain. We don't use any chemicals in our garden, but sometimes that means figuring out some natural alternatives to get rid of pests. And in this garden, we have chickens. So that means every day we have to come and feed and water the chickens as well. And that's also a team effort. There's a group of us that each have a day where we take care of the chickens, and then we get to take home the eggs that day. I think the most challenging thing is keeping momentum going, because it is a lot of hard work. You have to get out here sometimes multiple times a week to make sure things are watered, to make sure the weeds don't go crazy. And especially if you have like a market attached to your garden, it's a little bit of extra work of harvesting and pricing and selling, and then making sure you're tracking all of that. So really just the motivation to keep going is probably the hardest thing. I think community gardens play a huge role, especially in a neighborhood that has some economic challenges. It gives a place where people can connect. It gives a space where you're activating vacant land, and so you have eyes around, so you can kind of keep watch what's going on. And then it brings in resources. It brings in healthy food and exercise from all of the weeding and digging.
Find a small group of individuals who are at the very least excited about the idea of gardening, and it really doesn't matter their skill level, just having that passion and that interest I think is the most important. The reality is all of it is an experiment, and so just start where you're at now, and if you fail, it's all right, you can plant more seeds. That's the beauty about growing things.